So if someone wanted to lose weight quickly, safely, what would they severely eliminate? The carbs. Someone wanted to conquer cancer, what would they quite drastically drop? The carbs. Someone wanted to conquer their diabetes, what would they drop? The carbs. So here we've got bread, pizza, pasta. I don't think there's a home today that doesn't have pasta, would that be right? Rice is another carbohydrate. Potatoes, that's a high carbohydrate food. Cereals, donuts, biscuits, pastries, pies, all of that. And last and certainly least in nutritive value is the pure crystallized acid that's extracted from the sugarcane plant. Now, Dr. Robert Atkins knew that science, so he decided to do an experiment on himself. He decided to stop all carbohydrates. What did he eat? He ate a lot of vegetables, with the exclusion of the potato. He was eating a lot of fibre, and he knew also that the gastrointestinal tract needed to move through the next two food groups. He ate a lot of meat, butter, cream, cheese, eggs. So there was his protein, and meat, butter, cream, cheese, eggs was also supplying another food group, which was fat. Remember, he just experimented on himself. Few things happened. His weight just fell off. Why? Well, he's not supplying the quick release glucose stores, and so his liver has to start breaking down his fat stores. It's called gluconeogenesis, creating glucose from the fat stores. He was never hungry. Why? Because these are the three food groups that keep the food in the stomach longer. Fibre binds up the glucose and it slowly releases it. Protein, well, protein's broken down specifically in the stomach. And fat, it coats the food a little bit, so it takes a little bit longer to break down. That's good news, because it means we don't have to be eating all day long. We can eat and forget about food for the next 5 or 6 hours. He had heaps of energy. Where's he getting his energy from if he's not giving this quick release glucose foods? Well, as I mentioned, his liver breaks down his fat stores to give him the glucose, and his liver has the ability to break down protein and fat to give glucose. He had lots of energy, weight's falling off him, and he's never hungry. Has he found the perfect diet? Well, the 11 million people that it has been estimated has been helped by his diet agree. Number 1 on the New York Times best-selling list 4 years running. So he started to put some of his patients on this. Oh, they were so happy they can eat anything they can't usually eat on a weight loss diet. Weight's falling off them. Within 6 months, he had all his patients on the diet. After a year, a few things started happening which he was unprepared for. His cancer patients were going into remission. How so? Do you remember what cancer cells are consuming? 15 times the glucose of any other cell. This is a low glucose diet. His diabetics were coming off their medication. This is type 1 and type 2 diabetics. Absolutely there was weight loss. You might be surprised at the next one. His patients with high cholesterol levels came back to normal. And what are they eating? Meat, butter, cream, cheese, eggs. What are people told if they want to get their cholesterol levels down? What have they got to stop? Meat, butter, cream, cheese, eggs. He's scratching his head. He only did it for weight loss. And that's why he wrote his book. But before he wrote his book, he went into the medical journals and he opened once again his anatomy and physiology book that he hadn't looked in for probably about 20 years. And this is what he found, that these three food groups are the essential food groups. Why? Remember, we've got to ask why at every step. Well, fibre sweeps the gastrointestinal tract. And if it doesn't get swept every day, it starts to slow down and not work properly. And if the colon doesn't work, the whole body doesn't work. Plus, it is in the fibre part of food, there's often a concentration of the nutrients. Protein's essential. 50% of the membrane around every cell in the body is protein. Every bodybuilder, if they want to build up muscle, what do they got to add to their diet? Protein, because it's protein that builds muscle. 50% of the membrane around every cell in the body is fat, whether you're 100 kilos or 300 kilos. I'm talking about the membrane around your cell. Except for the brain cell, it's 70% fat. And that's little fatty sheath around the tail of the cell, that gets your brain cells up to 70%. In fact, the brain's the fattiest organ in the body, and you know what it loves to eat? Fat. We'll have a look at that. What Atkins found is that the non-essential food group is carbohydrates. This surprised him. Now let me define that. I'm not saying carbohydrates are bad. I'd be a fool to do that. We love them, we enjoy them. They're not bad. They only pose a problem when they're overdone and refined. Got that? Notice the two words, overdone, and surely on the high carbohydrate diet, it's a little bit overdone, isn't it? And refined, because most people that are on this diet, it's refined. But you can still overdo the unrefined carbohydrate. So because of that, your carbohydrate part of your meal is your negotiating part of the meal. And the negotiations change depending on your height, depending on your size, depending on your age, depending on your physical and mental output through the day, but probably most it would depend on your health status.